Hey everyone. So if you're the one wrangling dozens or maybe even hundreds of devices for your company, you know the pain, right? Well, today we're diving into a feature in Microsoft Intune that's basically a master remote control for all that chaos. We're talking about device profiles.
Seriously, just picture it. You've got 500 devices out there, laptops, tablets, phones, all over the place. How on earth are you supposed to make sure every single one is secure, connected, and set up just right? I mean, without literally running yourself ragged, going from desk to desk. It's the classic IT nightmare.
And the answer to that nightmare? It's actually super elegant. That's where an Intune device profile comes in. Just think of it like that master remote control we mentioned. It's this one bundle of rules and settings that you can just zap out to a whole group of devices. Boom! Instant control, all from one spot.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll start by looking at your digital toolkit, then we'll check out built-in versus custom profiles. After that, we'll get into the super important assignment rules, and finally, we'll talk about what to do when you need to go a step further.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, let's talk about the tools you get right out of the box. Intune gives you this awesome set of what are called built-in profiles. You can think of them as pre-made templates for all the usual stuff you need to do, and they're broken down into a few main categories. So, the first big category is connectivity, and this is a lifesaver. With these profiles, you can just push out all your corporate Wi-Fi settings, VPN configs, email server info, you name it. Your users just get connected securely and automatically. Think about how many support calls that's going to save you. It's huge.
All right, next up, and this one is absolutely crucial, is security. This is where the magic happens. You can enforce stuff like BitLocker encryption using endpoint protection. Or say you want to disable the camera on certain tablets. You can do that with device restrictions. You can even set up Windows Hello for Business to make logins way more secure. This is your digital fortress right here.
And then there's the whole device experience. You can totally tailor how people interact with their devices. Got a shared tablet that needs to be locked down to just one app? Bam, that's kiosk mode. Need to get really nitty-gritty with settings in Office or the Edge browser? Administrative templates have got you covered right from the cloud. You can even push out a profile to upgrade a device's Windows edition automatically. So cool.
Okay, so those built-in tools are awesome, right? But what happens when you run into something that they just don't cover? A really specific, unique need? Well, that's where it's super important to understand the two basic flavors of profiles, built-in and custom. Honestly, choosing between them is pretty straightforward. Think of the built-in profiles as your everyday screwdriver set. They're fast, they have a guided setup, and they'll handle like 90% of the jobs you throw at them. But the custom profiles? Those are your power tools. They give you maximum flexibility for those really unique settings that aren't in the regular menus, especially for vendor-specific stuff.
All right, so we get what profiles are, but how does Intune figure out who gets what? You know, which device gets which settings? This is where it can get a little tricky, especially when you have a device that's in multiple groups and maybe they have conflicting rules.
And this right here, this is the question that trips up so many admins. Let's play this out. What if you assign a profile to a big group of, say, all your users, but then you try to exclude a specific group of devices from that same policy? What happens when one of those users logs onto one of those excluded devices? Who wins that fight?
There's one golden rule you have to burn into your brain. When there's a conflict, when you have an included group fighting an excluded group, inclusion trumps exclusion, always. If you remember nothing else about assignment, remember that.
Let's look at a real example of how this plays out. So step 1, you assign a profile to your all users group. Step 2, you specifically exclude the kiosk devices group from that same profile. So what's the result? Every single user in that all users group gets the profile, even if they happen to be using a kiosk device. The user's membership, their inclusion, is more powerful than the device's exclusion.
Okay, so we've got the basics down. We understand the all-important assignment rules, but now let's talk about those times when you hit a wall, when the built-in stuff just can't do what you need. This, my friends, is where custom profiles come in to save the day. They're like your secret weapon.
Okay, don't panic. You're going to see something like this on the screen. It's called an Omori path. And yeah, I know it looks like a bunch of complicated tech jargon. It's basically a super specific command for the device's operating system. But what is it actually telling the device to do? Let's put it in plain English. All that gibberish, it's a really simple but really powerful security setting. That one little line sent out through a custom profile literally stops your users from copying company data from their work apps and pasting it into their personal apps on an Android phone. I mean, talk about preventing data leaks. That's a massive win, all thanks to a custom profile.
And that's just one example of what you can do. You should really think of custom profiles as your get-out-of-jail-free card for when the regular settings just don't cut it. You can use them to create Wi-Fi profiles that include pre-shared keys, or set up a VPN that only kicks in for certain apps. You can even push out settings from the Apple Configurator tool or add settings that are specific to, say, a Samsung device. It's all about getting that ultimate fine-grained control.
So, there you have it. We've gone on this journey from total device chaos to really understanding the powerful, structured control you get with Intune device profiles. You now have the toolkit. You know the rules of the road. So, the only question I have for you is, what's the very first problem you're going to go out and solve with this?